大家好，欢迎来到本期视频，我们继续来聊聊比特币这个数字资产世界里的老大哥。那最近几天，比特币一直在努力爬起来，想要摆脱10月份创下的历史新高之后那一波猛烈的回调。那比特币接下来会怎么走？是要一鼓作气继续反弹，还是会再来一段更深的调整？为了给大家更清晰的判断方向，这期我们整理了3段非常有价值的视频访谈，包括木头姐 Cathie Wood 最新的观点和3位神秘的重量级嘉宾对比特币未来的深度分析。最后我们会说一位重仓 Coinbase ETF 的投资者，看看他们是如何看待下一轮行情的。不同立场、不同视角，对市场的理解会完全不一样。那看完这期视频呢，相信你会对现在的市场到底是反弹的前奏，还是风险累积，有更明确的判断。
And then finally, Bitcoin. Now, I was on CNBC, and the only part of the clip that I think taken out of my appearance was where I said that the biggest surprise to us over the last, since we started our research on Bitcoin into actually 2012, is that stablecoins are starting to usurp a role that we thought Bitcoin would play. We thought Bitcoin would be an insurance policy for emerging markets against confiscation of wealth, either outright or through inflation and other terrible policies. What has happened is the stablecoins are taking over. They've hit almost $300 billion. And so we think that that insurance policy role will take $200,000 to $300,000 out of our bull price. But that was in an all other things equal world. What has also happened, of course, is what we've been discussing. The gold price has doubled. So the gold market cap has doubled. And part of our analysis for the potential for Bitcoin was that maybe it would become half the market cap of gold. It would take some share from gold or maybe expand the market. That market has doubled. So I don't think our bull price should change all that much. And I probably should have been quicker to say all things equal on CNBC the other day. So I just wanted to clarify that. We are very bullish on crypto assets, but we know that they are the most susceptible to liquidity drawdowns. And I described earlier, we have a number of reasons for liquidity drawdowns now, but we think that they will be cleared by the end of the year. And hopefully by December 10th, when the Fed eases. And hopefully when government statistics come back and we get the employment report in early December, which is the next time that I will have the pleasure of doing In the Know. So hopefully we're in the clear by then, and the bull market that we believe is firmly in place will continue apace. So thank you very much.
首先我们先来聊聊木头姐最近的观点修正。之前她说过，因为稳定币的市场规模已经接近3000亿美元，并且在很多新兴市场里，稳定币开始取代比特币成为财富保险，所以她认为比特币这轮牛市的目标价可能要下调20到30万美元。但现在呢，她重新给出了更新版的判断。他表示自己当时的分析是以黄金市值为基准去对比比特币的，而现在的黄金市值本身已经翻了1倍，所以他认为比特币牛市的最终价格目标其实不用下调太多。更重要的是呢，木头姐再次强调，加密市场最怕的就是流动性枯竭，也就是钱不够流动，买的人变少时，价格容易大跌。他认为这种状况会在年底前明显改善，到时候加密市场的上涨趋势会重新加速。那总结下来，对我们散户来说，这是非常利好的信号。一方面，木头姐本人依旧坚定看多比特币；另一方面，从他的逻辑来看，比特币突破20万美元只是时间问题， 而且这个时间窗口可能不会太远。接下来我们一起看看其他嘉宾是怎么说的。现在揭晓今天的3位神秘嘉宾，他们分别是 Raymond James 首席投资官 Larry Adam、雅虎财经的资深记者 Jennifer 和 Ines。我们来听听他们对最近加密市场，尤其是比特币的观点。主持人第一个问题就是问到 Larry Adam， 过去几周比特币这么大起大落，会不会担心有更多的抛售呢？这会不会拖累整个市场？
On crypto, we've been covering it on the way down, and now I want to stop talking about it as it goes up. So Bitcoin prices have seemed to stabilize a little bit. What do you think about this move we have seen in crypto over the past few weeks? And are you concerned about more of a sell-off and that pressuring the broader market a little bit?
Yeah, so crypto is a real tough asset class for me. Again, as a fundamental analyst, there's no cash flow, there's no dividends, there's no income. So it's really hard for me to tell you what the actual value of crypto really is. I can't tell you if Bitcoin's worth, 200,000 or 2,000. And as you just said, the volatility has just been incredible. I mean, people forget that not too long ago, October 6th, it was up 34% on the year. It was over $125,000. Today, we're around 87,000. We're down 7 or 8%, year to date. So there's a lot of volatility there. When you have an asset like this, it becomes an asset class of sediment, what people think about it. And what drove it higher earlier in this year was pretty much record inflows into that asset class or that particular investment vehicle. And more recently, you've all of a sudden started to see heavy outflows from that space. And that's really what's driving it. And again, I really can't tell you if it's up from here or down from here, to be honest.
Larry 说，对他来说，加密货币真的很难估值，没有现金流，没有股息，没有收入，所以很难判断它真正的价值是什么。他提到一个对比，10月6号，比特币今年涨幅一度达到了34%，冲到12.5万美元。
The one word that pops into my head when it comes to Bitcoin is speculative. And yes, we have a scarcity issue, right? There's only so many units that are going to be created, but it's only worth whatever the next person is willing to pay for it, right? This is not like a stock that is generating revenue and earnings. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. Whereas gold is a store of value. Is Bitcoin really? I don't know. I still think it's a speculative investment.
那 Jennifer 的观点就更直接，她认为比特币是一种投机资产，价格完全取决于下一个人愿意付多少钱，不像股票会创造收入和利润，所以她对比特币持非常谨慎的态度。那 Ines 则从技术面角度出发，她认为比特币这波反弹并不扎实，因为有可能比特币还没有真正筑底，所以还不能确定现在的反弹力度不算强。未来几周会面临更多阻力，那媒体整体对比特币的情绪已经变得明显，因此他依然保持谨慎。总体来看，相比较木头姐的乐观看法，几位嘉宾显然对比特币的价格和加密市场持谨慎态度。
Jen, I'm going to bring to life an emoji I've used before. What is like those praying hands? There we go. I think you were on the mark there. Nez, last word to you here. What I don't like about this move in Bitcoin, it hasn't been that convincing off the lows. I mean, it seems like people are nibbling at it, but it hasn't been that burst back over 90,000.
Right, and the question is, has Bitcoin bottomed here? Is this going to turn into a V-shaped recovery? And most analysts are cautious about that right now. It does not seem like this bounce is that meaningful. There are some resistance levels that analysts are taking a look at when it comes to the next following weeks. But I will say that Sean Farrell of Fundstrat said, look, the media has turned very bearish when it comes to Bitcoin, so perhaps that's a counter signal, according to him.
那关于接下来比特币的价格走向，我们仍然需要关注未来几周的一些阻力位。同时，我们也要看到，作为老牌的投资者，对于加密货币的波动性仍然持有较大的顾虑和担忧。而我们作为散户投资者，更应该谨慎地操作每一笔投资。那短期内，他没有看到比特币强劲反弹的迹象。接着，他补充了一个对股市很关键的观点：如果比特币横盘不动，股市反而有机会继续上涨。但如果比特币再度跌破8万美元，就会引发新一轮的流动性冲击，让股市也要受影响。那这位投资者整体偏谨慎甚至悲观，认为加密市场短期仍然有压力，尤其要警惕比特币是否会跌破关键价位。那从上述3段视频我们可以看到，作为老牌行业投资者和媒体人都对比特币的前景持悲观或者谨慎的态度。毕竟目前加密市场的情况复杂，所以更多的是看跌。而我们的木头姐则认为，年底前在解决加密货币流动性枯竭问题后，牛市依旧。 他看好比特币达到20到30万美元，甚至更高。我们目前只能继续观望，如果美联储政策转向宽松或者 ETF 流入增加，那这可能会加速反弹。因此，作为一系列短线交易者，应该设置好我们的止损点，而长期持有者可以找机会买入。我们要知道，比特币是高波动的风险资产，在做每一笔投资计划时，都应该保持理性，多个方面去获取信息，不能盲目决定，对手里的每一份资产都要做到负责。而到现在为止，价格反而变成了下跌7%到8%，这种波动幅度让他觉得不可思议。他甚至说，比特币已经变成一种纯情绪资产，涨跌主要靠资金流入流出决定，所以他认为方向其实非常难以预测。最后我们再来看一位持有 Coinbase ETF 的投资者是怎么判断比特币的，他到底是乐观派还是更偏谨慎。
Let's make one more move here, at least one more discussion point before we take a break. Bitcoin, it's an A-block story, I think, still, until it isn't. It's down again, okay? Bitcoin is. Coinbase got downgraded today at Argus. So, there's a belief that the market overall is not really going to be able to fully stabilize until Bitcoin does. You own Coinbase in the ETF. So what's your view on that?
I think I said yesterday, I've said last week, and I'll say it again today. I think it's going lower. I think the entire crypto space...
Coinbase is going lower.
It's going low because of what's going on with crypto. It looks to me like the crypto asset class peaked on October 6th. We're in the mix of a liquidity-driven sell-off. You could cite whatever reason for it. But in terms of observing momentum on a very near-term basis, there's no signal that I see in front of me that suggests a turn.
Did you believe... do you believe what others do, that until Bitcoin firms up, at least stabilizes somewhat, that the market itself is going to feel a little more volatile?
I think sideways trade in Bitcoin is gives the free pass for equities to move higher. I think if we break down below 80,000 once again, I think that will have a liquidity effect on equities, short term in its nature.
主持人首先抛出一个观点，如果比特币不稳定，那整个市场短期内可能都很难真正稳定下来。于是他继续追问，持有 Coinbase ETF 的投资者会怎么评价现在的比特币走势？那这位委员会成员态度非常明确，他认为比特币还会继续跌，不仅比特币，包括整个加密市场，甚至 Coinbase 都会继续跟着走弱。在他看来呢，10月6号已经是整个加密领域的高点，目前的下跌更多是流动性造成的，也就是短期资金不断进出，导致波动加剧。短期内呢，他没有看到比特币有大幅反弹的情况。那今天的视频就到这里了，大家是如何看待比特币接下来的走势？欢迎在评论区留言，我们一起来讨论。还没有点赞和订阅的朋友可以帮我们点一下哦。那我们下期再见吧，拜拜。